All right, everybody, we're back for what could be my last political presidential election prediction and analysis. That's barring any unexpected changes in the last few days, because I'm recording this late Tuesday night, October 27th. As of today, we are 1 week away, one long, endless week away from the 2020 presidential election and get this long thing over with at last. And so I wanted to come in, and what I'm here to do for this episode is basically two things. I'm going to get in, do these two things, and get out. One of them is I'm going to show you sort of the best case scenario for Joe Biden, because what this election really comes down to is, at this point, is do you believe the polls or not, right? On the other hand, on the one hand, you believe they figured out what they did wrong in 2016, and the polls this time are more accurate. They've adjusted primarily for education level of the respondents in the likely voter pool. And so therefore, a Biden 4-point lead taken using the Hillary Clinton Donald Trump election schematic 4 years ago would have had Biden up like 7 or 8. Instead, he's only at 4, but that means he's still up at 4. On the other hand, some of you might believe that the polls are just the same as they were 4 years ago, that Biden's lead in some states is as ephemeral as Hillary Clinton's was. But on the other hand, you'll note that in the last few days of the 2016 campaign, Hillary Clinton's lead diminished very rapidly down to about 2 points in those key states, and then she ended up losing them by like 1 point, so it was about a -3 swing. Joe Biden in most of the key states he needs to win is ahead by more than 3 points, so even if the exact same thing happened to him that happened to Hillary Clinton 4 years ago, Biden has enough padding compared to her that he could still win. All right, so that's one of the things I want to look at real quick, is the best case scenario for Biden if the polls are, for the most part, accurate. The other thing that I want to look at real quick is Donald Trump's last-minute, rather unconventional path he's come up with to try to circumvent a lot of this. So we're going to look at that kind of at the end. So here we go. We'll do our old standard therapeutic filling in the solid states. Of course, I do this every time. I don't ever prepare it for you guys ahead of time, because it's just kind of like relaxing to click in all the little states. And I don't have South Carolina as a questionable state. I'm sorry, I just don't. I see, and I always miss one. So we'll come back and pick up the I'm sure I'm missing. Oh, Tennessee, there's and Kentucky. I always miss a couple. I know there's Nebraska. Let's go ahead and get the Nebraska at large, and then I think it's 2 that's in question, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so go ahead and get that. And then let's go ahead and there's the 125. Again, I'm sure I'm missing something, but we'll fill it in due course. Now let's go ahead and get the Biden ones that we know. And of course, it's always fun to go down the Nevada. Come on, to go around the horn here. Virginia. It's so weird to think of Virginia as a state I can just confidently click blue. I do realize that New Hampshire is. Well, let's go ahead and, in fact, you know what? I'm going to do this. But, the fact that I'm wrestling with this shows you kind of where I'm going with all this. You know what? I'm going to do this too. There. There's a method to my madness here. Oh, I always forget my own state. Does that look good? Well, we hadn't done Maine. We know that Maine overall, the at-large is probably solid, and I think it's I always get the numbers mixed up. There we go. All right. Now, there's where we start out. Trump solid states in red, Biden solid states in blue, 228 to 125. Pretty darn good for Biden at that point. But remember, in 2016, every state on that board that is currently gray went for Donald Trump. Every one of them. And that's why he's president right now. And so this is what the Biden campaign is terrified about, is that that could happen again, right? That that Donald Trump could draw. Basically, in this case, it would be a royal flush. I always forget Hawaii. They put it down here under Texas, where I'm not looking for Hawaii, and I miss it. There you go. So 232 to 125. But at that point, if you give Donald Trump everything else, like in 2016, it's 300 and something to 232, and we're right back to 2016 again. All right, now I'm going to do the old Joe Biden dream scenario. I think he feels like Arizona, even though it's gotten a little lighter and it's a little more competitive. And by the way, it really comes down to, do you believe like the Trafalgar poll, the Susquehanna poll, the Rasmussen poll? It's kind of like the Holy Trinity, the Trinity of pro-Trump polls right now are Rasmussen, Susquehanna, and Trafalgar. They're the ones that see a completely different election than everybody else sees. And the question is, are they right? Are they just kissing up to one candidate? Where are they getting their numbers? We know where Trafalgar gets their numbers. Trafalgar calls up somebody and says, are you voting for Biden or Trump? And if you say Biden, they say, well, who do you think your neighbors are voting for? And if you say, well, I think my neighbors are actually kind of voting for Trump, they put you down as a Trump voter. They think you're lying. And that's how they get a higher number for Trump. I don't know if I totally agree with that methodology. That doesn't seem very scientific to me. Again, as I said on the last episode, I think they kind of got to the right answer in 2016 by taking the wrong road and just happening to luck out at the destination. Okay, but we're looking at sort of the Biden dream scenario right now, best case scenario, and I don't think there's any doubt we'll put Wisconsin and Michigan are looking very good. I think Maine, these others. I mean, I've really, been sweating these the last few days. Ohio. I've had Ohio gray. I've had Iowa gray in the last two, but actually, we now have like super pale blue for those two. I don't know if I believe it. Here's the Florida, about as light blue as you can get. I think Biden's lead's been about 1 or 2 there. North Carolina, again, very light blue. The one that I really still can't quite believe is Georgia is now ever so slightly, I don't know what word you want to use, leaning, tilting, slightly nudged in the direction of Biden. And then Maine's District 2 is kind of in that path. Look at that. We're already up to 354. And then the Pennsylvania, I mean, Trump has got to have Pennsylvania. He's fighting hard for Pennsylvania, and it's gotten a lot closer. But on the other hand, Texas has actually gotten a lot closer too. And at that point, Biden is over 400 electoral votes. And I'm not going to bother. Oh, I didn't even put in the, oh crap, it's doing it to me again. Let's go back to Nebraska. I'm sorry, I always do this. This is where I start fumbling around trying to figure it out. It's the second one that I always mess up. There we go. It's always hard because you'd think that wouldn't be the second. That should either be the first or the third. Come on, Nebraska, get your act together here. But so here's the map as this is sort of the Biden dream scenario, 413 to 125, where so many of these states, and again, I mean, it's weird that Pennsylvania has been sliding away from Biden a little bit. It's still in his category, but it's getting a little tougher for him. But at the exact same time, look at Texas. Texas is actually pulled ahead for Biden right now. And, I'm going to do it. You say, I want to see proof. That's cool. We'll get that up here real quick for you. Let's get over to, let's look at, here you go. They still got Texas there in pink, but look at what 538 has done today. They've put Georgia and Iowa in the blue category, but I want to click on Texas and show you it's still 68-32, but look at the polls. There's more Biden there than there are Trump, and there's an even. So this CNN New York Times came out on the 25th, has Trump up 4, but I mean, there's a Biden 3. I mean, so Texas is not leaning Biden by any means, but my goodness. And then if we go back to Georgia, Biden is now 51-49 in terms of their favorability model. look how that's just changed again. It's been like crisscrossing back and forth. And that's because in the last 4 polls, a tie, Biden +5, and a tie. You have to go all the way back to October 21st in a B-rated Landmark Communications, I believe that's a Georgia company, poll to find Trump up more than 1. And so that's crazy. And then the early voting in Georgia has been off the charts. So we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to show you was kind of where it's looking right now if everything does prove to be true. And I guess to be fair, I'll do that. Okay, so now it's 375 to 163. But if I were a Republican and looking at Texas being this tomato soupy, I would be very concerned for the future because every election, Texas gets a little lighter pink. That's very concerning for them. Now, the other thing I was going to do real quick is look very quickly at what Trump has been doing to try to change this. And he was talking today about how in his polling, or yesterday, that in his polling, he actually sees a narrow lead in Nevada. He also sees a narrow lead in Arizona. And so he now thinks it's 358 to 180. He thinks he's going to win North Carolina. He thinks he's got to win. He's got to win Georgia. I mean, he's got to. He thinks he's going to win Ohio. Right? This all in Iowa. See, this all presupposes that those states do go for him. Now, at that point, it's 303 to 235. Here's his new path he's working on. He's working on Arizona and Nevada in the West, and then Minnesota. He wants to come up here and flip Minnesota. He wants to come over here and flip Pennsylvania, and then he wants to get New Hampshire. What that does, okay, the Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire route, what is that? And of course, he's got to get the Nebraska. He's got to get that, okay? What does that do? It gives him 270 to 268 for Biden. Here's the key, gang. That gets him 270, 268 without Florida. In other words, everybody's been saying that if Biden wins Florida, Trump can give it up, go home, he loses. And what Trump has done is found a somewhat plausible path to right at 270 without winning Florida. So it is possible, but it takes some doing. He's got to get Nevada back. He's got to get Arizona back. He's got to get that one little congressional district in Nebraska. He's got to hang on to Georgia, North Carolina. He's got to get Pennsylvania, hang on to Ohio, and he's got to get New Hampshire, blanking out on that state, New Hampshire. It's possible. It is possible. I don't know about Minnesota. I think Minnesota might be a bridge too far, and I don't know about Nevada. But there you go. So there's 2 possible paths. There's the Biden landslide, and there's the Trump eking it out by a fingernail. All right, we're going to wrap it up there, and we'll see you guys. This may be my last one. Then again, if anything changes in the next few days, I'll come back and do one more. So take it easy and make sure you go and vote.